Weekly Geek Out. I am the best host of this show, James Moss.
And I am the other guy, Ryan Taylor.
So, are we actually doing horror movies this week, Ryan?
Yes, I don't have any more. Actually, that's not true. Today, we're doing a full ranking on every season of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic.
I wish you told me, because I still haven't watched it. It's on my to-watch list, but I keep getting caught up watching the same 3 episodes of Friends over and over.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the same thing. Friendship is magic. So,
it is.
Okay, we're going to talk about horror, finally.
Yes, because today, as we are recording this, it is October 1st.
Didn't even plan that, actually. This is just the only day we were free.
Yeah.
I started, like...
Happy accident. Story of my life.
Happy accident. The James Moss story. An true Hollywood special. I started last week watching horror movies because I couldn't wait.
Yeah, I've been watching horror movies all week. Like, even in my downtime at work, I've been watching horror movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, luckily for me, I've been working with people who also enjoy horror movies, so I haven't had to, like, tuck away in the corner on the computer and watch them. I've actually been able to, like, put them on the TV.
Nice.
So, this week, I've watched 3 of the Saw films.
Oh, yeah. Which 3?
3 of the Halloween films.
Yep.
I've watched The Crazies.
The original or the remake?
The remake.
Okay. They're both good.
I watched... What was the other one we watched? Oh, 28 Days Later.
Nice.
And Batman vs. Superman.
Also horrifying, I guess? I don't know. Not really.
No, I actually like it.
I know. To some. It's an easy joke to make.
I know.
I haven't watched anything this week that I've actually seen before. So me and Charlotte sat down and we watched a bunch of just stuff that I never got around to. Actually, neither one of us had seen. Watched Urban Legend, which was fun. I Know What You Did Last Summer. The 2003 remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was way better than I expected.
Is that the one with Jessica Biel in it?
Yes. And
okay.
I spent half the movie being like, is that Jessica Biel? I think that's Jessica Biel. I don't know what Jessica Biel looks like. We watched The Witch, which was pretty good. And last night we watched 13 Ghosts. You remember that?
I love 13 Ghosts. I still have it on DVD.
When that movie came out, I was 10 or 11, and I went to go see it in a theater, and I got scared shitless. And there's a scene with like this dead girl in a shower or something.
Yep.
And anyway, I was scared. Like every time I went to the bathroom between the ages of like 10 and I don't know, like 15, I would open the shower curtains and look behind them because of that movie.
Yeah.
And last night I watched it for the first time.
Princess, her name was, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, you're right. That movie was interesting. Like,
I like that movie.
I don't think it was like the pacing was weird. There was way too much time spent on the backstory of the family, and not enough on the scares and kills.
I really like Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, that's the thing. Matthew Lillard was like one of the best parts of the movie, but the design work on the ghosts and the actual kills were pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And we watched Gerald's Game that came out on Netflix on Friday.
Okay.
Now I haven't read the book. It's a Stephen King book, of course, because Stephen King fever is 100% right now. So I haven't read the book. Charlotte says it was an amazingly like one of the best done adaptations she's seen. I really liked it. It was interesting. It's
Okay.
not gory throughout the entire thing, but there is a scene that is one of the goriest things I've ever seen in a movie. I had to look away. I don't look away very often. It made me squirm, and I won't ruin it because it's brand new, but it's worth watching.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's not a long watch, and it's creepy as shit. Basically, I'll give you the setup. Couple goes away on a little, just sort of a getaway weekend to a cabin, like a big mansion in the woods. They're getting intimate. He handcuffs her to the bed and then dies of a heart attack. So she is in this big house in the woods. Her husband is dead on the floor, and she is handcuffed to a bed with no way out.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's real. Like, the whole setup of the movie is just her trying to get out of that room.
It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. So I was talking to you just before we started recording. I had to run out to Shoppers Drug Mart to pick up some M&Ms, and a really fitting. I had an interesting experience. I still don't have an explanation for it. So
Okay.
here in Port Bass, I parked on the side of the building, Shoppers Drug Mart. Anyone who's familiar, it's like a really weirdly sloped parking lot. And I parked the car, and I got out, and I noticed just underneath my car where I'd parked was what looked like a little wooden stick from, I don't know, like an ice cream or something like that. Like, there was some sort of, like, it wasn't quite a popsicle stick, but it was like a little longer, maybe a shish kebab. Yeah. But it was wrapped up in like saran wrap, and it was just covered in blood.
What?
Yes, like, I'm talking like deep, dark, pooling blood. Like, I thought it was roadkill at first. I don't know. I don't know if this is some kind of like a dessert for vampires, or like if people are selling bloodsickles, or I don't know what the fuck it was, man. So I bought M&Ms and I went home, and I said that's a fitting story.
As you would.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna ask. Yep, it's October.
Yeah. Can't say I've ran into anything scary yet this October, but then again, like, I only just rolled out of bed.
Yeah.
I saw what was in the mirror. That kind of freaked me out.
I didn't want to be the one to make the joke. I'm glad you did.
I will always make that joke.
Yeah. Well, let's set up now what we're going to be doing here for the month of October. There's way too many ideas of things to do in the show in terms of just the topic of horror movies alone. So,
yeah.
The 4 episodes we're doing are set up in, like, everyone has a top 5 or a ranking, and we got an additional question or two, so we can get through, like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 12 topics in the run of the month.
Yep.
So today, you wanna run through what we're doing here today?
So today, we are going to be giving our pick for the best death scene in a horror movie.
Yep.
We are going to be stating who we believe is the best protagonist in a horror movie. We are going to be listing our top 5 horror movie villains.
Yeah, that's the bulk of the episode right there.
Yep.
That was a hard list to make.
I knew who I wanted the top 2 to be right off. It's the rest of the list that kind of had me debating and scratching my head, and like there's just so many to choose from. Narrowing it down to a top 5 was a bit difficult.
Yeah, I had to skip over some big ones, but just to try and fit them all in there.
Yeah.
Okay, want to get right into it?
Sure.
Let's do the best. Well, you said best death scene. I'm calling it best kill. Because
sure.
What better way to start off our month of horror with a greatest death? I mean, not all of them. There's many notable exceptions, but for the most part, these movies are about kills. They're about deaths.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I've got two. I've got one that I think is actually the greatest, and one that is just too fun not to mention. The first one that popped in my head when I thought of this is from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's one of the more unique, and I don't know, it always made me squirm a little bit. That being said, I was pretty fucking young when I watched this the first time. There's a scene in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 where now one of the characters in the movie, he makes these little wooden puppets. He's always carving these puppets out, right? And of course Freddy is haunting this group of people, so he's asleep in bed this night. He's got a puppet, an unfinished puppet hanging on the wall. The puppet morphs into Freddy Krueger and hops down off the wall, walks over. Freddy appears and slices this guy's wrists and legs and uses his veins as puppet strings to control him. Yeah, so like in real life now, the guy is just sleepwalking, but it cuts to his dream and his veins are just like puppet strings that are pulling him along, and he ends up jumping off a balcony, right? But
with a giant Freddy in the sky operating him like a marionette.
Yes, exactly. It's been a while since I watched it, so I couldn't remember every detail there. But that one popped in my head immediately, and that was my answer for a while. And then I remembered, in my opinion, this is what I think is the greatest. 1982, The Thing, John Carpenter.
Ooh.
Do you know what I'm talking about? The infamous chest defibrillator. I can't even pronounce it. Defibrillator scene.
When he goes to defibrillate the guy and his chest opens up and bites his hands.
Yes, and just rips both his arms off. And like, what I like is it's so unexpected, because it's such a I mean, the guy had a heart attack or something, right? And
yeah,
it's not what you're expecting at that point in the movie at all, and it's just so sudden. He uses the defibrillators a couple times, and then he goes down for I think maybe a third or fourth time, and it just opens up and engorges his arms. But what's better about it is that scene just fucking escalates so quickly to the guy's head melting off and growing legs and fucking they got fucking flamethrowers they're trying to take down the thing with. It just absolutely goes to shit in a minute. Anyway, that's my pick. I think that's one of the fucking coolest scenes in a horror movie, and that poor fucking guy with the arms.
Yeah, that is a pretty good one, I must say.
What do you have?
One that always stuck out in my mind as being so great is from Final Destination 2.
Ooh.
When Evan dies.
It's been a while since I've seen them, so I can't remember which is which. Which one is 2?
Final Destination 2 is the one where there's supposed to be the pile-up on the freeway.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And she has the premonition just as she's about to merge onto the freeway, and she's just like, whoa, no, and
Yeah, I remember that.
All the people who survive are like lined up behind her.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the movie.
Yep.
The character, Evan, is the guy who just won the lottery.
Okay, yep.
And, like, he's getting back to his apartment, and he's, like, checking his voicemail. There's a bunch of messages from, like, girls and from family members just being like, hey, call me, type thing. Because people are just after his new money.
Of course, yep.
And let's see if I can recount this properly. He goes to make himself something to eat. There's a frying pan with some noodles on the table, and he takes the frying pan and he flicks the noodles out the window of his apartment, so the frying pan will be empty. Places it on the stove. Grabs a box of Chinese takeout or whatever.
Yep.
Out of the fridge. Goes to pop it in either a microwave or a toaster oven. But before he does, when he's looking away, a fridge magnet falls off and lands in the leftovers.
Yep.
Pops that in the toaster oven.
Yep.
Then he goes to make something, spills some oil, I believe, and then he puts something else in the frying pan he just flicked the noodles out of on the stove. See, it's hard to keep it all straight exactly what happens.
I know.
Then somehow he gets his wrist caught in the garbage disposal, I believe, as his apartment catches on fire because of the magnet in the toaster oven and the oil that was spilled everywhere.
Yep.
So the place is going up in flames. He thinks he's going to die, blah, blah, blah. Finally gets his arm out of the garbage disposal. Breaks the window for his apartment, starts climbing down the fire escape. He gets down there, gets to the little ladder at the end of the fire escape, and he's bouncing to try and get it down. It won't go down properly. Finally, it goes down a little ways. He falls. And he's just like, whoa, that was lucky. I got out of the fire. Turns to walk away, slips on the noodles he tossed out the window, lands flat on his back on all the broken glass from the window he just beat out to get out of his apartment.
Yep.
The fire escape ladder drops, stops above his head. He's like, whew, that was lucky. And then it gives way and drops the rest of the way, impaling his face.
Yep. I do remember that. I was listening and I was like, shit, I can't remember how he actually dies because it's none of these things.
Yeah.
It's like this... It's like the puzzle. You're trying to figure out, like, one thing leads to this, to this. Yeah, no, I remember that. That was a really fucking cool death.
The Final Destination series is very novelty.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But the entire time, like, how these people end up dying sometimes is so, like, random or intricate that I'll just sit there being like, okay, so this thing is happening, and then that thing's going to happen, and it's just setting off this big chain reaction of events that's going to cause this person to bite it.
Yep.
And I'll just be, like, on the edge of my seat with snacks, being like, oh, he's going to die. Oh, there's tap water creeping across the floor. You go and get it now, boy.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen those movies in a few years, though. Me and my cousin...
I want to rewatch... I've seen the first two recently again, and I kind of want to rewatch the others. Maybe that's what I'll watch today as I'm cooking and cleaning.
Nice. Yeah, me and my cousin marathon all 5? Was it 5 of them?
I believe there's 5, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was around the same time that the 5th one came out that we marathoned them, and I haven't seen them since. That was, I don't know, 5 years back or so.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the last one.
No?
No. Speaking of movies with intricate deaths, though,
yeah.
There's a new Saw movie coming out.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
It actually looks good. I really like the Saw movies.
Do you like all the Saw movies?
Yeah.
Really? See, I'm very, very hit or miss with the Saw movies. Like, I have fun watching them all, but I only think maybe half of them are good. Like, I think the first 3, and I think the second last one, I think it was like this weird thing where I was watching through the movies, and I remember around the second last one I was like, man, this one's actually, like, there's some good stuff going on here. And then the next movie was back to the standard set by the previous. And I wasn't into... I remember 5 I really wasn't into.
Okay.
It got a little too convoluted.
Yeah.
And me and Charlotte actually have this joke where we constantly reference the Saw montage, where, like, they replay half of the movie over music, just so everything clicks in place for, like,
for that big reveal at the end, or the big twist.
But they could have done those with so much less, but they're like, no, we're gonna replay like every bit of relevant dialogue, and it's like it's like a 5-minute montage.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, it's literally longer than most of those last time on The Walking Dead. You know? But no, I think, at least, like, at the very least, the first Saw is a fucking modern classic.
The first Saw?
Yeah. Like, I think
like, when I saw it, and at the end, I don't give a fuck about spoilers. The movie's over 10 years old. I think it's
a good 16.
Yeah, because it came out in, like, 2000... Wait.
What was it? It was early 2000s, so very early.
2004, I believe.
Oh, really? Okay, so that's 13 years old.
Yeah, but when John Kramer stands up at the end, and he was the dead guy on the floor the whole time...
Yep.
It blew my fucking mind. I was like, what?
Yeah, it was a fucking good movie.
Yeah, 2004.
Nice, yep.
So, starting in 2004, the first Saw came out.
Yep.
And so, 2004 through 2010, we had a Saw every year around Halloween. And now, 7 years later, we're getting Jigsaw.
Nice. I mean, I'll watch it. I'm gonna watch it anyway.
I found out yesterday that my Blu-ray copy of Saw 3D, like the most recent one,
yep,
doesn't work, because I tried to watch it and it just doesn't work, and I keep saying, like, the disc may be damaged or in upside down. It's like, motherfucker, it's not in upside down. I just checked 3 times. So, and I looked for scratches and everything, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just stream it somewhere, because I want to watch. Like, I've watched all the Saws except Saw 3D recently to get ready for Jigsaw.
Nice. They're remaking or adding a new movie on, like, everything now.
Oh yeah,
like,
because they're running out of original ideas.
Oh yeah. No, I just mean, like, within the next year or 2, they're doing all the classics. There's that new Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis.
You know what? I watched Halloween Resurrection last night, and because I was thinking, like, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis is supposed to be back in the new Halloween, but didn't she die in Resurrection? And I just paid very close attention to her death. And Michael just kind of, like, stabs her in the back and, like, lets her drop in the bushes. But it never really confirms that she's dead.
No.
Like, the bushes look like it could have broken her fall. It just shows her, like, land there in the bushes in an awkward position after being stabbed once in the back. She very well could have survived that.
Nice.
Also, since we're on the topic.
Yeah.
At the end of Halloween Resurrection, Michael's still alive. He opens his eyes. Michael can't die until all of his bloodline is gone.
Oh.
Which, A, either suggests that she survived. Also, I can't remember it saying if anything bad happened to John, Jamie Lee Curtis's son from Halloween H2O, played by Josh Hartnett.
Okay.
And I can't remember it saying anything happened to Jamie's baby from Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Which is the movie where it stated, like, under the rune thorn, he couldn't die unless all of his bloodline was dead, like.
Yeah.
So, there's at least 2, maybe 3 people in his bloodline left for him to kill. Which, you know, warrants a sequel to Halloween Resurrection and not the shitty Rob Zombie movies that we got.
I liked the first one.
The first one was alright. It took too long to get to the whole, like, Michael's an adult thing for me.
Okay.
I can watch the first one. The second one was complete bullshit.
Oh, 100%.
Like, all of a sudden, like, out of nowhere, Laurie's this grungy, badass, like, dropping out of school and doing drugs and everything, like, just out of nowhere. Like, complete 180 personality. Like, I guess, like, I understand people change after traumatic events, but that was a very drastic change. And then there was the whole thing where they were, like, biting on the Jason Voorhees territory, where Jason's, like, always seeing visions of his mother leading him places and telling him what to do, and then got Michael's mother, who was played by Rob Zombie's wife, walking around in a white dress leading a horse, being like, do this, Michael, do that. Just because Rob Zombie cannot make a movie without giving his wife a decently large role.
Yeah. That is the truth.
Which just fucked up the story and the mythos for me, and that pissed me off. And Michael Myers is just supposed to be like, he doesn't talk. And he communicates just through body language, really, and like little turns of his head and everything like that. And then at the very end, in one of the two possible endings for the movie, when he gets Loomis, he pulls off his mask. Why? And looks at Dr. Loomis, says the word die, and stabs the motherfucker.
I have no idea.
Like, how did Rob Zombie think that that was a good idea? It was that moment where I just started saying fuck you to Rob Zombie, and I have not watched most of the movies that he's put out recently just because, well, I've heard bad things about them, but I just haven't been excited to watch them since Halloween 2. And then before I get a chance to watch any of his newer ones, someone else will tell me, like, yeah, it really wasn't that great. And then I'm just like, well, fuck it, I don't want to watch it now.
Yeah.
That's my little spiel about Rob Zombie.
Anyway, let's get into best protagonist.
Yes.
Okay. Like, there are some obvious choices to this one, but
and when I was looking at the protagonists for most of these movies, well, I wanted to go with someone who was recurring.
Yeah. Okay.
Because most like slasher movies and stuff like that, the protagonist changes every movie.
Yeah.
It's just the same antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted someone recurring, and I already knew this, but I looked at it and I was like, man, like 90% of these are female.
Yep. I didn't go recurring at all.
What?
I didn't go even a little bit recurring.
Cool.
I have a protagonist from a movie, and it was never in another movie, and that was it.
Let's hear it.
I went with Peter from Dawn of the Dead.
Cool.
Played by Ken Foree, of course. And mainly it's because a lot of heroes in a lot of horror movies, and this is a common complaint, like, they make stupid fucking decisions. They do all the tropes. They split up. They make stupid fucking mistakes that cost themselves their lives. But Peter does not make a fucking mistake in that movie. He is trained. He's level-headed. He never loses his cool. He's completely competent in the survival mode. And between that and Dawn of the Dead just being like one of my favorite horror movies ever made, and
so good.
Ken Foree is a fucking legend in horror. Between Dawn of the Dead, Devil's Rejects, he shows up in a lot of like remakes and sequels, just because people, they have got a lot of respect for the guy, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, my favorite movie of all time, Shaun of the Dead, had that little nod to him, where Sean works at the electronics store, 4E Electric.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like, that's where I first heard of him, because I've been watching Shaun of the Dead longer than I've really been much of a horror fan, and I don't know. I always liked Peter, and like even that one scene where what's the character's name? They call him Flyboy. He shoots at the zombie and like basically aims the gun at Peter in doing so, and Peter that's the one time where Peter seems to actually get mad and just stomps over and takes the gun from him.
Yeah.
I fucking love that movie.
Speaking of nods to movies,
yep.
In Halloween Resurrection, I was watching it after I watched Halloween 2, and then I jumped to Halloween Resurrection. And the doctor in the hospital in Halloween 2, his name is Dr. Mixter. And then in Halloween Resurrection, it starts off in the mental hospital, and I believe it's a message over the intercom.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it that they're actually talking to someone? But either way, there's another doctor. It says, like, something Dr. Mixter.
Nice.
Yeah, so they used the same doctor's name in Halloween 2 back in, Jesus, what was that, like 79?
Yeah, it was pretty, 78 was the first one. So
it was either 79 or 80.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
Because it was set the same night.
Yeah.
And then in the 90s, late 90s, I believe, when Halloween Resurrection came out, I'm just checking the date on that. Yeah, they have another doctor in the film with the same name, like same surname, anyway.
Yeah.
Because, well, the doctor in Halloween 2 died, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought that was a cool little...
Nice.
Bringing it back. Anyway, that was a little tangent.
Yep. Who you got for your protagonist?
I have two people.
Okay.
2002 was Halloween Resurrection, by the way.
Okay.
I had two people for my best protagonist because I couldn't decide which one I liked more.
Okay.
Both are from franchises that I really, really like.
I wonder if they're exactly who I think. There's three.
Who do you think it is, before I say?
The three that I would have in my head for you are either Laurie Strode,
okay,
Ash from The Evil Dead,
okay,
or maybe Ripley from Alien. Did I get any of them?
Well, you got one of them.
Fucking which one?
Ellen Ripley from Alien.
Nice.
And Sidney Prescott from Scream.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah. That makes sense.
As much as I love Halloween, which I could understand why you would suggest Laurie Strode.
Yeah.
I don't like Laurie as a character, and I'm not really a fan of Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
In 2002, I saw Halloween Resurrection in theaters in Moncton with my father and Aunt Rose. Because we were, like, both of our families were on a camping trip together, and everyone else was gone to do something. Me and Andrew really wanted to go see this movie. We were both under the age of 18. They said, sorry guys, you can't go without, you know, an adult. So Dad was like, I'll take them.
Nice.
So we went and saw that. In the beginning, when Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie Strode, died, supposedly, I actually cheered in the theater. Because I've never been a fan of Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't know why. Like, in recent years, I'm like, I have no idea why I hated her so much as a child. But, like, all I knew her from was Halloween and Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
But I couldn't stand her, so I was so happy when that character died in Halloween Resurrection.
Was it the Activia commercials that changed your mind?
That could have been it. I mean, those yogurts did great for my bowels.
Yeah.
But Ellen Ripley is such a badass.
Yeah, she is.
And I find, like, with Sidney Prescott, the further into the series you get, like, in the first one, she was a little bit of, like, the damsel, like, oh my god, blah, blah, but the further into the series you got, the more, like, hardened Sidney became, and she was just, like, she was almost taunting the killers at some point, being like, you want me, motherfucker? Come and get me.
Yeah, that's true.
I've handled this before, I can handle you too. And even in Scream 4, it seems like Sidney dies, but then, like, nope, Sidney's not dead, she's just in very critical condition, and then she ends up taking the defibrillator, paddles to the sides of Jill's head, and clear, fries her fucking brain.
Nice. I need to see
Sidney comes out on top every time.
I still need to see Scream 4.
Oops.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care with spoilers. No, we're gonna watch all the Scream movies at some point this month.
I love me some Sidney Prescott, and it's not because not even that I'm attracted to Neve Campbell. I just think Sidney is a badass.
Yeah.
I mean, in the movies, whenever Randy is explaining the rules of a horror movie, like Scream 1 and 2, Randy explains the rules of a horror movie and a sequel. Scream 3, Randy's sister is like, hey, here's a tape of Randy explaining the horror movie rules for a trilogy. And while a lot of people in the room are just like, oh yeah, whatever, man, I'm gonna go have another beer, blah, blah, like, Sydney's listening to what Randy says. Like, she's listening to the horror movie nerd when he's explaining the rules of a horror movie. Like, don't go upstairs, don't do this, don't do that, this person always does. And Sydney's there, and you could see she's taking it all in, and she comes out on top every fucking time.
Yep. You're not wrong.
Sometimes, like, obviously she has help from other characters like Gail and Dewey and Randy and people like that, but she's the main character in these movies. When it comes down to it, she's the one who always finishes off the killer. It always, like, it all ties into Sydney and something to do with her mother or her family or just, you know?
Yep.
So I'd have to say Sidney Prescott, but Ellen Ripley is a very, very, very close second.
Yep. No, those are good answers, actually. I didn't think of either one of those. You want to get into the villains?
Yes, sir. I was just having a drink. So we are doing our top 5 villains.
Yes. Now, I mean, horror would not be what it is today without the iconic villains that horror movies have presented to us. So
yes.
This is going to get interesting.
Okay. There's one that almost made my list.
Okay. Me too, actually.
But didn't.
Yep.
I'm going to wait until after we say our lists, and then I kind of have this little honorable mention.
Yeah.
In case it doesn't make either one of our lists, and I want to see if you know this character's actual name.
Okay. Okay, so...
So do you want to give your 5 first?
Yep. I'll give my 5.
How did you decide your 5?
Was
it just like your personal favorites, or...
Yeah, like it's a mix. I don't know. It's really fucking hard. It was a really hard list to make. There were a couple characters I just feel like I couldn't leave out. I already had my number 1. My number 1 was set in stone from the beginning.
Yeah, same.
And
top 2.
My 2 and 3 moved around a little bit, and my 4, 5, and honorable mention sort of moved around a little bit. There was some, I don't know. I'm just going to list them and we'll discuss.
Cool.
Okay, number 5, because I did rank them. Michael Myers.
Awesome.
And we'll get into that as why he's 5 and not higher. Number 4, Leatherface.
Nice.
Number 3, although I'm really torn between 2 and 3 here. Number 3 for me is The Thing.
Awesome.
Number 2, I'm not sure how to the proper name here, but the Alien Queen, the Queen of Xenomorph from the original Alien.
I think they just called it the Queen.
Yeah, the Queen. And number 1 for me is Freddy Krueger.
So we didn't have a lot of overlap at all.
I was thinking that there was a couple I was thinking that you probably would have. I wouldn't. Okay, you list your 5.
Yeah, we only had 2 in common, and they weren't in similar places on the list.
I think I got a guess as to which 2. Okay, you give yours, and then we'll discuss it all over.
And we'll discuss?
Yep.
Okay. I went with a little bit of personal preference, a little bit of cultural impact.
Yep.
And I took into account their body count.
Yeah, I know you were telling me you did that.
Yeah. Okay, so number 5, I said Freddy Krueger.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Number 4, I said Ghostface.
Nice.
Number 3, Hannibal Lecter.
Yep.
Number 2, I said Michael Myers.
Okay, yep.
And number 1, as soon as we came up with the idea for this, I knew Jason Voorhees had to be my number 1.
Interesting. Okay. So,
yeah,
we got two that crossed over. Let's talk about those first.
Because Freddy was at the top of your list and bottom of mine, and Michael was at the top of my list and bottom of yours.
Yeah. Okay, so here's something I have to admit, although I might lose a lot of credibility. The only Halloween movies I've ever seen are the original and the 2 Rob Zombies.
Okay.
So I don't know that much about Michael Myers at all. I'm planning to watch every single one this month.
Nice.
But I could not deny the how iconic Michael Myers is, how impactful the original Halloween was, and how fucking cool Michael's backstory is.
Yep.
It was the list didn't feel right without him on it.
The further into the series you get, the more it explains his backstory. Like, people were like, well, if he spent his entire life in an insane asylum, how does he know how to drive? Well, it kind of hints at that in number 6, The Curse of Michael Myers.
Okay. That was a question I had, yeah.
And funny enough, if you watch Halloween 6, during the opening credits, it says, introducing and starring Paul Stephen Rudd.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Nice.
Paul Rudd got his start in the Halloween franchise.
I didn't know that. I remember, like, a young Paul Rudd from 10 Things I Hate About You.
Was he in 10 Things I Hate About You?
Is that the one I'm thinking of? Maybe I'm...
I don't think so.
Fuck, what am I thinking of?
Heath Ledger.
Yeah, hold on, I'll...
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, David Krumholtz.
No, he was in Clueless.
Yes. Clueless
is what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
I was going to say, because I've seen 10 Things I Hate About You more than 50 times. I actually really enjoy that movie.
Yeah, it's a pretty fucking good movie. Been a while, but, you know.
Yeah, Paul Rudd got his start in the Halloween franchise. Much like Jennifer Aniston in the first Leprechaun, it says introducing Jennifer Aniston.
Really?
And in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, it says introducing Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, yep. Okay, so yeah, that's why Michael makes my list but doesn't get high up it, because I don't know Halloween that well.
See, I could just go on with Halloween trivia right now, such as, like, well, I mean, a lot of people know this now, that Michael's iconic white mask was originally a William Shatner mask from Star Trek that they painted white.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, because, well, Star Trek was so popular back in the 70s when that movie first came out.
Yeah. I'm sure it would have been easy to get your hands on it.
A lot of people complain about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, because it has nothing to do with the rest of the series.
Yeah.
But what happened was John Carpenter didn't want to make 3 movies about Michael Myers.
No.
So at the end of Halloween 2, Michael Myers is supposed to be dead. And then he made just a 3rd horror movie set on Halloween, just to fulfill his contractual obligations to make the 3rd movie.
Yeah.
And because he had zero interest in making any more movies about Michael Myers.
Mm.
But then, like, everyone wanted more Halloween, wanted more Michael Myers, so Mustafa Akkad purchased the rights to the character and made the rest of the movies up until the Rob Zombie shit.
Huh. I honestly... I love the first Rob Zombie movie. Like, you kind of have to take it out of the context of the others a little. I mean, I don't know the whole story, but even taking it out of the context of the first one a little bit, but on its own, I think it's a fucking solid horror movie. And I really, really like the backstory with the kid. I love the kid that played him.
The kid who played him in the first one was good. The kid who plays him in his visions of himself as a child in the second one,
okay, I don't.
Is just very bland and flaccid.
I think the best way to do it is to take the first Rob Zombie movie out of the context of the second one, because the second one just fucking sucked.
Yeah.
If you can take the first one on its own, I think it's fucking... I mean, especially for something made in the 2000s, because there's a lot of shit made in the 2000s.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing I tell people to do with Halloween 3.
Yeah?
Watch it as a separate movie, not as part of the Halloween franchise, not as part of the series. Just watch it as its own individual movie, and it's great. Most people just get hung up being like, oh, Halloween 3, nothing to do with Michael Myers, it's just completely out of left field, it's so stupid. I'm like, no, just don't even call it Halloween 3, just call it Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
And watch it. And forget it has anything to do with Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm. Is it good, though?
It's a pretty decent movie.
Yeah.
Also, the actor who played Michael Myers in Halloween 2, when he was still being referred to as The Shape,
yeah,
the actor's name was Dick Warlock.
Dick Warlock?
Dick Warlock.
That's amazing. I don't know.
Sounds like some kind of porn wizard.
That's fucking awesome.
Anyway, let's move on to Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
I could talk about Halloween all fucking day.
Now, see, Nightmare on Elm Street were one of my first introductions into horror.
Nice.
I did see the third one first, and then went back for some reason.
The Johnny Depp death scene from the original Nightmare on Elm Street, was a contender for my best death.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
They've got some good kills in those movies.
Oh, all of them do.
Yeah. For me, I think the concept of Freddy is just the most terrifying. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to run away from someone, like trying to get away from Michael or Jason, but when the trick is to just stay awake, that's fucking terrifying.
Yep.
That's a fucking scary concept when you really think about it. And I mean, compare that with combine that with how iconic his look is. I mean, burnt skin, hat, blades on your fingers, and the striped sweater. It's very simple but iconic look, which I think is a big part of being a great horror villain.
Yes.
I don't know. Freddy always just stood out as like he was always the he was the definition of horror villain to me. So yeah, that's
for sure. Like, the only reason I think I ranked Freddy so low on my list is because of, like, his backstory is a good one. It's an original one. In the remake, they made him a pedophile, which I didn't like. I was kind of hoping in the Jackie Earl Haley version he was an innocent guy who they mistakenly thought was a pedophile and killed him. And then he was just like, well, fuck you. You guys killed me when I was an innocent man. Now I'm going to get your kid that you thought I touched. That's what I was hoping they were going to do. But then they actually made him a pedophile, and I was like, I can't root for a pedophile.
No, but see, I kind of like that, because that adds a darker layer.
Yeah.
The
really... fact that he killed kids before he died in the first one, in the Robert Englund ones, the fact that he was just a child murderer, I was still kind of like, like, going after teenagers, I get, because all these big bads go after teenagers. But murdering little kids, it's just like, kind of, like, I like rooting for the villain in these movies.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, get him. Like, oh, Jason's gonna get you now. It's like, oh, motherfucker, you just made a big mistake. Yeah. Hannibal Lecter's gonna eat your fucking face.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's hard to root for him like that. Yeah,
it's hard to root for someone who murders or molests children.
Yeah,
which kind of made me not like Freddy as much as I could have.
Okay, that's fair. So on my list, I've got Leatherface, The Thing, and The Queen. You've got Jason, Hannibal, and Ghostface, was it? So, let's talk about Jason real quick.
Talk about Jason?
Yeah. You're number one. You're number one, and it didn't make my list.
Well, one of the reasons why I had to list Jason is, like, Jason was the first one I watched.
Yeah.
So he has that nostalgic value for me there. The sheer number of movies he has, the body count he has, if my math is correct, which it is, you know, I think it's, if it's not correct, it's close. His body count is somewhere in the ballpark of 195.
Shit.
Yeah. Whereas Freddy is only in the 40s.
Okay.
Like, Norman Bates only killed 20 people. Jaws killed 21.
Yeah.
Jason is almost at 200. It would have been in the 200s if because I went through multiple sites trying to figure out, like, his body count. And they listed it by individual movie and then just added the total together. But they all included the first movie. And it's like, no, Jason's mother was the killer in the first one.
Yeah.
So you can't count that.
No, of course.
But how many people will look at a hockey mask, at a goalie mask, and just instantly call it a Jason mask?
Yep, it's true.
I mean, The Simpsons have parodied it. Like, it's been fucking everywhere. The number of, like, references and parodies and everything of Jason.
And the thing that I find interesting
Even
is...
the Menzingers have a music video with Jason in it.
Like, the question is, was Friday the 13th actually much of a superstition before these movies?
I have no idea. I think it was because I don't know which came first. I think the superstition came first, that it was just, like, bad luck to wear black on Friday the 13th.
Okay.
And then they just made a horror movie surrounding the date.
Yeah.
Type thing. Kind of like how Halloween was spooky before Michael Myers.
Yeah, of course.
And Elm Street was fucked before Freddy. I don't know what I'm talking now.
Yeah, for me, I don't know, like, Jason is not something I never really watched a lot of those movies growing up.
Yep.
And I guess it's hard to deny how iconic and how relevant to pop culture those movies are. But if I'm making a list of 5, I mean, to me, Jason is a poor man's Michael.
That's very fair. I like Michael more, but it was largely Jason's body count that put him at number 1 for me.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And there's more cultural references to Jason than to Michael.
Yeah. Yep, that's fair. Let me see. So I've got Leatherface on mine, not on yours.
I considered Leatherface, but, you know, I had to give it to Ghostface and Hannibal.
That's fair.
I mean, Hannibal Lecter is terrifying.
Yeah, he was my honorable mention.
Yeah.
And
the one I would consider an honorable mention, I took off the list to put Hannibal there.
Okay. Who do you have for?
What honorable mention?
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if you know this character's name.
Okay.
The demon from The Exorcist.
Oh, not the name of. Oh Jesus, what's the? I can't even remember the little girl.
Not Reagan.
Yeah. The demon?
Yep.
Oh, I don't know.
Because there's numerous sequels to The Exorcist, and it's supposedly the same entity, evil entity, in all the movies. At one point in the movie, it says, like, I am the devil, but it's not actually it's just a demon. Not Satan himself.
I don't know that at all. I don't know if I've ever known it.
The demon is listed as being named Pazuzu.
Is that Hazuzu or Kazuzu?
P.
P?
Yeah, P. P-U-Z-U-Z-U, I believe.
Pazuzu. I've never heard of that.
Not like Banjo Pazuzi.
No, I've never heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if it was ever officially confirmed that it's the same entity in all the Exorcist movies, but it's largely speculated that it is, and it's not until one of the sequels where it actually says its name.
Huh.
I was doing a lot of research for this episode and watching like countdowns on YouTube of like best horror villains and best deaths, and
nice.
I watched like a 5-part series, best 100 deaths in horror movies, which was really interesting.
Cool.
But yeah, when I was doing my research, I came across this where it actually said the demon's name, and I was thinking, about how much The Exorcist traumatized people when it first came out and everything like that, and I still know people to this day that take multiple sittings to get through that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't find that movie that bad. Like, I really enjoy the movie, but
I love it.
It's the context of modern day too, right?
Yeah, and not everyone likes horror movies like we do.
No, exactly. I still haven't seen the sequels. I've heard the third one's good.
I have The Exorcist and Exorcist the Beginning here on DVD.
Okay.
So many good horror movies. Like, when I bring my horror movie collection, like my binder of horror movies, to work, I always get the same reaction from coworkers, like, that's all horror movies. Like, yeah, this binder is just for horror movies. I left my comedy binder and my action binder at home.
Nice.
Like, I had so many horror movies that my ex bought me this big binder for them because I didn't have room for all the cases in our tiny apartment at the time.
That's fucking awesome. I'm gonna just run through my takes on a couple we haven't really gotten into that much of yet, and then
sure,
you can do the same. I had 2 honorable mentions. The first was Hannibal Lecter. I didn't put him on the list because, as much as I love Hannibal, I think it's that I love the movies more so.
Yeah.
Like, he's a fucking great character, and I really want to read the books. I really enjoyed the show they did as well with Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh, yes.
Like, Anthony Hopkins and Mads Mikkelsen did very, very different takes on the character, but fucking nailed it.
So good.
Also, really, I never watched a lot of them. I watched, Silence of the Lambs is a classic, but only within the last couple of years, Charlotte got me to watch a lot of the other ones, and Red Dragon is fucking awesome.
Isn't it, though?
I fucking love that movie. I don't know how that didn't get better ratings.
I have no idea.
Like, fucking Ralph Fiennes in that movie.
So good.
As, was it Francis Dollarhide, is that right?
Yeah.
Man, fucking creepy.
That scene where he rips up the pitcher and eats it.
Yes.
Oh. That, I just love anything with Ed Norton in it.
Yeah, exactly. That adds a lot to that movie. And is it, which movie is it with Philip Seymour Hoffman? Is it Hannibal or Red Dragon?
No, Philip Seymour Hoffman's in Red Dragon, isn't he?
I can't remember. I remember the scene with the
Yes, it is Philip Seymour Hoffman in Red Dragon, because Francis Dollarhot is got him strapped to this old-fashioned wheelchair, and he's like, "Do you see what I've become? Do you see?"
Yeah.
And Philip Seymour Hoffman's there, like, crying and naked, like, "Yes, I see," and then there's the scene where he's just, like, on fire, rolling down the street.
Yep. That was really fucking good. That's another contender for death. That's a good one.
Yeah, that is. Also, another one I was thinking about for best death was in Hannibal, where they push Mason Verger out of his wheelchair into the pen with all those boars.
Yep.
And they fucking eat him.
Yep. That was a good one too.
Yeah. So many. Wasn't that Gary Oldman?
I think it was, yeah. That sounds right.
I'm fact-checking that as we're talking.
Man, if we had to fact-check all of our episodes, we'd need to do an entire episode on the just shit we fucked up. Let me see. Leatherface. I had to add Leatherface, honestly, just because he's one of the villains that creeps me out the most. Like,
Leatherface was also very close to making my list.
Like,
but I used Ghostface instead because, well, I'm such a sucker for the Scream series, and again, like, the cultural references. There's the Netflix Scream series, which I enjoy.
I still haven't watched that either. I need to get on that.
Oh, it's good. There's 2 seasons, I believe.
Nice.
You previously mentioned how you like Bex Taylor Klaus, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, she's in that.
Cool.
But the first Scary Movie with the Wayans and everyone like that,
yep,
was largely a Scream spoof.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it had references to a lot of other movies and pop culture things, but it was largely a Scream spoof.
You know what's funny about that?
And I loved that.
Something really funny. I used to be a really, really big fan of the original Scary Movie.
I still am.
I haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't know how it holds up. And the fact of the matter is, I watched it as a kid a lot.
Yeah.
So I watched that movie for years before I ever saw Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer. And so when I first watched those movies, like, I know Scream years ago, but I Know What You Did Last Summer I watched like this week for the first time.
Yeah.
And I basically knew how the movie played out because they parried it so close to the actual movie.
Yeah.
And that's what's funny. Like, I was like, oh, this is what's going to happen. Oh, okay. And like,
yeah.
It makes the jokes a little better, honestly. I'm thinking back to yeah, I won't even spoil any of the movies. Anyway, just a couple scenes that I like. As soon as I saw the setting, I was like, oh shit, this is what's gonna happen now.
Yep. I loved it.
Like
Still do love it.
The beauty contest scene, basically, was a big
that movie. That series, Scary Movie, went downhill bad, though.
Oh, me and you and Charlotte and I think maybe another friend or two went to see Scary Movie 5 when that came out.
Yep.
Oh man, that was painful.
Charlotte said as we were leaving the movie that me and you bitching about the movie was funnier than the actual movie itself. It made her laugh more.
Remember how there was a running joke about someone getting kicked in the nuts or something?
Yeah.
And we were just counting it. Like, oh, that's hit number 27. Okay. Got an hour left of this thing.
I remember I actually got agitated with the people who were sat behind us who actually found it funny and were laughing at the movie. I got agitated by people finding this movie funny.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
Anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent.
Yeah.
Another honorable mention, and it's interesting. Here's why. I was trying to think of like modern day villains that would work, and the closest I could come up with is fucking Christ. No, we're not even going there. Have you ever seen the movie It Follows?
Yes.
I fucking love that movie.
So good.
I thought of that, and I was like, you know, that it's not an iconic one being villain, but in modern day, like, that is one of the coolest uses of a villain in a horror movie, because it's just so unsettling that if you haven't seen the movie, it's basically this thing latches onto you and it's coming to kill you, but it could be coming in the form of any random person.
Yep.
So every single human being you see could be someone coming to kill you. And that's so fucking cool, because there were scenes where, like, the main character was sitting there with her friends, and you see someone walking from the distance, and she's just getting completely, like, nerve-wracked at, is that person coming to me, or is that just a random person walking by? And in terms of, like, using your budget to display an absolutely unsettling villain, that's genius.
Oh yeah.
Fucking brilliant movie. Anyway, back to our actual list. We talked about Freddy, Michael, talked about Ghostface, talked about Jason, talked about Hannibal, talked about Leatherface briefly. I just want to say that, like, Leatherface creeps the shit out of me, because the way he walks with that chainsaw and the noises he makes are just unsettling. I cannot, like, Leatherface is one of the, like, those movies are some of the few movies that actually scare me a little, because Leatherface is just so fucking creepy.
Yep.
It's even less to do with, like, how iconic Leatherface is, or how much I like those movies versus other horror movies, and more just with, like, he's too creepy not to have in my top 5.
Leatherface is great, but I just like these 5 so much more.
Yeah, that's fair. The Thing, I've already fucking talked about how much I love The Thing in the kills area. I'm probably going to end up talking about this movie a lot more over the next couple episodes, because it's a fucking great movie. It's definitely one of my favorites.
Hell yeah. Well, we got all October to do horror episodes.
Exactly. The Queen. I mean, as much as I love horror, I love sci-fi so much more, I think. And I don't know, they managed to make something so huge and so fucking intimidating very quiet and very like, somehow you still don't know where it is, even though it's this fucking giant alien. And I think that, like, especially the first movie is very, very creepy, and I love the design of the character. I don't know, Alien's a personal favorite. I had to put it up there.
I have no idea what I want to watch more today. All I know is I just want to marathon horror movie after horror movie.
Yeah. I'm not sure what we're going to watch tonight. I've got to go in for a night shift, but I think me and Charlotte are going to do popcorn and another horror movie. Not sure what's next on the list.
After this discussion with Ripley coming up as one of my top protagonists and you bringing up the Queen, I kind of want to watch those movies.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Awesome.
I'm trying to think now.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for today, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was trying to think. I thought there was one on your list that we missed, but no, it wasn't. That was all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that about wraps it up for our very first horror episode. And
yeah.
My God, we're actually having an episode released on time this week.
Ooh.
Let's give ourselves a big pat on the back there.
The cause for celebration. I think I'll celebrate with snacks and horror movies.
Yep, me too. I got M&Ms and I gotta tell you this one. So we talked in the birthday episode about you're a big popcorn lover, right?
Yes.
But let's be real here. There's popcorn, and then there's theater popcorn.
Yes.
Now, this is not a paid sponsor, but if you can get your hands on something called Flavacol, that's FLAVACOL. Charlotte managed to find this stuff, and you do like homemade popcorn from popcorn kernels in a pot on a burner, and you sprinkle a bit of the stuff on it while you're cooking it. And I'm not exaggerating. It is exactly like theater popcorn. It is. I think it's actually what they use to make theater popcorn. As in, I am no longer tempted to ever buy movie theater popcorn again, because I can make it. Well, I can't make it. I'm not a good cook. Charlotte can make it. So, yeah. If you ever see this stuff, man, pick it up, give it a shot, because you will not believe how good homemade fucking popcorn can be with this shit.
Nice.
It really adds to the whole movie and popcorn at home experience. Anyway,
awesome.
We should get sponsored by Flavacol, I guess.
I would love to.
So Flavacol, if you're listening, I don't know.
Give us a call.
Yeah, I don't know who your people are. I doubt they're any one of our half a dozen friends that listen to this, but you never know.
Yeah. Also, I'm planning on doing a set of videos for YouTube.
Yes.
That involve watching horror movies and eating things. So if anyone would ever like to join me and be a guest for these videos, that all you got to do is come over, hang out, watch horror movies, and eat stuff. And maybe talk about the horror movies a little bit. But I'm planning on doing this, and it's not just for the month of October, it is whenever. So if you're interested, hit me up. We'll eat some shit, we'll watch some horror movies, we'll have some laughs, we'll discuss, we'll post some highlights on YouTube maybe.
Yes.
Cool.
And as usual, I'm continuing with the Tridents and Tracers, and I believe I'll be doing a noob reviews this week. The season finale of Rick and Morty is tonight, so I think I'm going to do a review of the season. Because why not? And hopefully, I think I might throw in a couple horror-themed noob reviews throughout the month.
I think you should.
Yeah, I'm going to try and figure out what exactly to do there. Maybe there's... maybe with some of the movies I'm watching that I've never seen before, I can throw something in like that. I'm not sure. I'll figure it out.
Awesome.
Anyway, thank you all for listening once again. Thanks for sticking through the missed weeks and delays and so on. And as always, you can check out episodes of Jedi Dropouts or our spin-offs, or the couple spin-offs I have so far. New reviews, Tridents to Tracers, and maybe some coming YouTube videos. You can check out those YouTube videos on our YouTube account, of course. You can check out all of our audio recordings on www.jedidropouts.podbean.com or on Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and where else can you find us, James?
NTV News. I'm Don Bradshaw.
Yeah, perfect. We should get Don Bradshaw as a guest.
My girlfriend loves to point out the fact that he lives just up the street from me.
Oh, does he really? That's perfect.
Yeah, every time she sees his little NTV Jeep outside his house, she's like, Don Bradshaw, NTV News.
I mean, he'd be a good...
I get it. He's my neighbor.
He'd be a good guest. He has a voice for it.
Yeah. Well,
Let's
I
do...
don't want to hang with Don Bradshaw.
Let's do top 5 episodes of NTV News.
All right.
Let's rank the NTV News hosts. Or fan cast a reboot of NTV News.
Oh my god.
Or maybe
Ryan Snodden as Eddie Shear.
Eddie Shear as Ryan Snodden.
Alright, now we're just getting ridiculous.
Yeah. Jeff Goldblum as Glenn Carter. Which makes me hope that the line "news finds a way" would be in there somewhere. Okay, I think that's enough for today.
Yep, now we're getting stupid.
Yep. Okay, thanks again, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for dropping by. And
something drop out.
Yeah. Something spooky, horror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Spoopy.
You know what? Let's go out on this real quick. I just realized something I was going to mention at the beginning of the episode. Do you ever watch Goosebumps? And are you afraid of the dark as a kid?
Yes.
Which was there either one that you leaned to, or did either one like scare you too much?
As a child, Are You Afraid of the Dark scared me too much, so I watched Bumps exclusively because I was afraid of Are You Afraid of the Dark.
Goosebumps came on first, so I'd always watch Goosebumps, and then when Are You Afraid of the Dark came on, I'd like rush to change the channel because I was like, oh god, and even the opening scared the shit out of me.
Yep, same.
Exactly.
But now I love Are You Afraid of the Dark.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched it in years, but I'm probably gonna go back to that.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's enough until next week, and next week we'll do something. We'll reveal our next topic of discussion for Horror Month. I couldn't come up with a catchy name for Horror Month for October.
We'll brainstorm one.
Yeah.
Try and have one by the end of the day.
Okay, sounds good. Later.
All right. Peace out.